Welcome, dear listeners, to the shadows of another night. I am Elias Nocturne, keeper of the unholy chronicles and guardian of tales that dare not speak their names in daylight. Tonight's tale comes to us from the darkest chapter of colonial America, when hysteria poisoned the minds of the righteous and the devil walked freely among those who claimed to do God's work. What I'm about to share with you is titled The Devil's Mark, a recovered journal found buried beneath the floorboards of one of Salem's oldest houses. Its pages bear more than just ink. There are strange marks upon the parchment, marks that seem to shift when viewed from different angles. Even now, as I hold this text, I can feel an unsettling energy emanating from its weathered pages. Let us begin our journey back to Salem, 1692, where we shall learn that sometimes the true monsters are not the ones we hunt, but rather the darkness that grows within those who do the hunting. From the recovered journal of Mary Putnam, dated September 1692, there are marks upon my skin that were not there yesterday, small spots like pinpricks, forming a pattern I dare not interpret. They appeared after I testified against Goody Proctor, and now I fear I have damned not only her soul, but my own. But I am getting ahead of myself. You who have found this journal must understand how it began, how Salem descended from a God-fearing town into a pit of paranoia and darkness, where neighbor turned against neighbor, and where the line between accuser and accused grew thinner with each passing day. I should have known something was wrong that bitter January morning when little Betty Paris first began having her fits. The minister's daughter had always been a quiet, obedient child. To see her thrashing about, speaking in tongues that no Christian soul should know, it chilled us all to the bone. But what frightened me more was the look in her eyes between the convulsions, a look of such calculated malice that I knew even then that whatever force had taken hold in Salem was far more insidious than simple witchcraft. Soon other girls joined Betty in her afflictions. Abigail Williams, Ann Putnam, my own cousin, Mercy Lewis, and more. They would scream that invisible spectres were tormenting them, pinching and biting their flesh. They would fall into trances and point fingers at those they claimed were sending their spirits to torment them. And we, God help us, believed them. The first to be accused was Tituba, Reverend Paris's slave from Barbados, and Sarah Good and Sarah Osborne. But it didn't stop there. It could never stop there. Like a cancer, the accusations spread through Salem village, then beyond to Salem town and other settlements. Respected women like Rebecca Nurse and Elizabeth Proctor found themselves charged with consorting with the devil. Men too, John Proctor, Giles Corey, George Burroughs. I remember the day I first felt the darkness trying to take hold of me. I was walking past the meeting house when I saw Martha Corey being led to her examination. She had always been kind to me, bringing soup when my mother was sick last winter. But as she passed, something shifted in the air between us. The shadows seemed to lengthen, though it was barely past noon, and I heard a whisper, so soft I might have imagined it. Your turn will come, Mary Putnam. The devil marks all his children in time. I convinced myself it was nothing but my own fears playing tricks. After all, I was one of the righteous ones. I had helped identify the witches in our midst. I had testified before the judges about the supernatural torments I had witnessed. I had watched as the accused were carried off to the jail in Salem town, their protests of innocence falling on deaf ears. But the whispers grew stronger. And now these marks have appeared on my skin. They started as 3 small dots on my left wrist, arranged in a triangle. By evening, they had spread halfway up my arm in an intricate spiral pattern. I've tried washing them away, scrubbing until my skin was raw, but they only seem to grow darker. And when I press them, I swear I can feel them pulse. like something alive writhes beneath my flesh. Last night, I dreamed I was in the meeting house again, but all the pews were filled with the dead. Every person we had hanged sat there, their necks twisted at impossible angles, their eyes fixed upon me. Bridget Bishop, in her red bodice, smiled at me with blackened teeth. Sarah Good's infant daughter, who died in prison, sat in her mother's lap, small fingers pointing accusingly. And there, in the pulpit where Reverend Paris usually stood, was a figure I dared not look at directly, tall and dark, with horns that scraped the ceiling. "You have served us well," it said in a voice like crackling flames. "The seeds of discord you planted have borne such sweet fruit. But now it is time to collect what is owed." I woke screaming, my sheets soaked with sweat, and found new marks blooming across my chest, a pattern like burned branches spreading over my heart. Today I watched them hang 5 more. Among them was Goody Proctor, against whom I had testified just last week. As the cart was pulled away and her body dropped, I saw her face turn toward me. Even with the hood covering her features, I knew her eyes were open, staring directly into mine. And in that moment, I understood with horrible clarity. There were never any witches in Salem. We had created them ourselves, given form to our own darkness, our jealousies, our petty grievances. We had used God's name to justify murder, and something far older and darker had been watching, waiting, feeding on our fear and hatred. The marks have reached my neck now. I can feel them burning, pulsing, drawing something out of me, or perhaps letting something in. I write these words while I still can, while I still remember who I am. Already I feel changes taking hold. My reflection in the mirror grows dimmer with each passing hour. My thoughts are becoming confused, replaced by strange whispers and darker urges. Last night, I found myself standing over my sleeping sister with a knife in my hand, though I have no memory of leaving my bed. The marks guided my arm, urged me to add her blood to their patterns. It took every ounce of my remaining strength to turn away. I know now why the afflicted girls screamed and thrashed about. I understand their fits, their accusations. The darkness finds fertile ground in young souls, especially those hungry for power or attention. It whispers such sweet promises. Tell us who hurt you. Point your finger and watch them fall. You'll never be ignored again. But there is always a price to pay, always a reckoning. To whoever finds this journal, burn it after reading. Tell the judges to stop the trials. Tell them that every drop of innocent blood spilled feeds something that should have stayed buried. Tell them that their righteous fury has opened doors that cannot easily be closed. The marks have nearly reached my face now. Soon they will cover me completely, and I fear what I will become. Already I can feel my humanity slipping away, replaced by something ancient and hungry. The shadows in my room grow longer, reaching for me with clawed hands. And I hear singing, sweet, terrible singing, calling me to join the others. Come, child of Salem, your time has come, to dance with spirits beneath the black sun. The devil's mark claims all in the end, when darkness and justice fatally blend. I must stop writing. My hands shake too badly to hold the quill, and the marks burn like fire. Through my window, I can see the gallows on Gallows Hill, silhouetted against the setting sun. More bodies hang there, fresh ones from today's executions. But they're moving strangely, twisting in a wind that doesn't exist. And unless my eyes deceive me, they're beckoning to me. Perhaps I'll go to them. Perhaps that's where I belong now. After all, what is justice but another name for vengeance? And what is vengeance but the devil's own sacrament? Mary Putnam was found dead in her bed 3 days after writing the above passages. Her body was covered in strange markings that, according to witnesses, seemed to move and shift in the candlelight. The examining physician declared it natural causes, but the servant who discovered her swears that Mary's corpse was smiling, a horrible, knowing smile that spoke of secrets no living soul should possess. The deaths did not stop with Mary. Over the next month, many of those who had testified at the witch trials died under mysterious circumstances. Some were found with similar markings on their skin. Others simply vanished, though witnesses reported seeing dark figures dancing on Gallows Hill on moonless nights. The Salem Witch Trials officially ended in May 1693, when Governor Phipps released all remaining accused witches from prison. But some say that something far worse than witchcraft was awakened during those dark days, something that still lurks in the shadows of Salem, waiting for those foolish enough to go looking for it. They say that if you visit Salem on a dark night and walk past the old gallows site, you might feel a burning sensation on your skin. And if you look closely, you might see the beginning of marks forming, 3 small dots arranged in a triangle, just like the ones that appeared on Mary Putnam's wrist. But by then, of course, it's already too late. If you enjoyed this tale of colonial horror, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell to join our Unholy Tales community. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever visited Salem? Ever experienced anything supernatural there? And remember, some dark chapters of history are better left unopened. Or are they? Until next time, keep looking over your shoulder.